Alright guys, this tutorial is to show you a few hints before you start drawing 562. A couple things here I want to show you to make your life a little easier, teach you some things to make this a more efficient experience. Now I'm not going to draw this to the same dimensions as your worksheet. I'm not going to do everything exactly the same. I'm going to make up some dimensions. But I'll make it similar. So we make the two sets of cylinders. Now, notice that I am doing these inner circles right away. I'm doing it in the same sketch. If you only draw the big circle on the outside and then you extrude this cylinder, then you got to come back, make another new sketch, and then make this hole. But if you draw the circles inside now, then when you do the extrude, it's done. The hole is already done. So it's a more efficient way to go about it. So if you have a hole that you can put in the sketch right away, make it part of the extrusion, that'll save you time. So this is the tricky part. This next part, we're going to talk about using constraints. So constraints are nice because you can force behavior. You can force lines and circles to do things that you want them to do. You can force lines to be parallel. You can force circles to be centered. Okay? And in this case, we are going to use tangent. All right? Believe it or not, this line that connects these two cylinders does not go from one quadrant to another. It actually snaps tangent. So we are going to draw a longer line than it needs to be. So I'm going to go past the point of the quadrant. I'm going to go longer than it needs to be. And I'm just going to get close to the top of the cylinder. I'm not going to touch the circle. And then I'm going to do the same thing on the bottom edge. I'm going to get close, make it a little longer, and then I'm going to use my tangent constraint to force it where I want it to go. Now, sometimes applying a constraint can make things happen that you don't necessarily want. For example, it could throw off your centers. It could throw something else off by forcing one thing to happen. It could make something else happen that you don't want. So actually I'm going to apply another constraint as well. I am going to apply a horizontal constraint. And this is going to allow me to force these sets of circles to stay put. It's going to force them to stay on this plane, on this axis, right? So if I click on this center, and then this one, now they can't move. Those two circles, or those four sets of circles, cannot move off of that plane. And if I don't do that, when I do my tangent constraint, it will force the centers to move sometimes. So now I can do my tangent. You're going to click on the circle, and then the line. Then the circle, and the line. Circle, line, circle, line. All right, now you can trim off the excess. Finish sketch. Extrude. Now, the next really cool thing I want to show you is two things: doing multiple extrudes at once and doing a symmetrical extrude. So with this shape, this 562 is a very interesting drawing in that if you split it right down the middle, it's symmetrical on both sides, right? So instead of doing an extrude where you come off of the face in one direction, we're going to do symmetrical and split it in half. Now you want to enter the value that is on your worksheet, right? It says 2 on your worksheet. So that's what you would want to enter. It will automatically split it in half for you. So you put the value in, the overall value that it calls for. I'm going to put in different numbers, remember, because I'm not doing exactly the same thing. Now, instead of saying okay and then starting over again, well, what happens when you say okay? Your sketch disappears, right? Well, yeah, you know how to bring that back now. You know how to turn visibility back on. But instead of having to go through that trouble, hit the green plus mark and add a new extrusion right from here. Plus, do your next section, adjust your settings, say OK. That's a little bit small. I'm sorry, don't say OK. Hit the plus mark again. And do your final extrusion. Symmetrical. Distance. And now you are done. In one shot. You did everything in one shot. All 3 extrusions. Your holes are done. And you can go ahead and make your drawing file. It's that easy. Thanks for watching.